So anyway, let's move on. Next on the list here is the Warriors wanted to build a big three of LBJ, Steph, and KD by acquiring Durant and James at the deadline per Amico Hoop. So we kind of talked about this. It's kind of crazy because what would you have to do to put together the salary to even pull this off? What there's nothing left there. You've got to leave basically Steph, and you've got to give up basically everything else, including Draymond, of course, just to make the salaries work. And they ultimately were able to pull off a big trade for Jimmy Butler. But that was after these two guys said they didn't want to go there also. So just kind of crazy. Do you think, here's a hypothetical, do you think if they put these three together on this team, do you think they would have been able to come out on top this season? Let me know while I get in the chat. The eyes gave the whole story. Oh, my God. Wemby out for the season? Yes, we will get to that in a second. Lakers warming up for the Denver game? Okay, hopefully so. Derek will break down all the pharmacology. Oh, my God. I know Derek, bro. That's a good one. I know what you're talking about, bro. Pull up NBA Centel? No, I ain't pulling up Centel for nothing. Every time there's a Central post, I've got to just clarify: is it Centel or Central? I always got to look every time now. I've been scarred too many times, but. To kind of elaborate on this story, the Golden State Warriors tried to trade for LeBron and KD at the same time before acquiring Jimmy. At the same time is so crazy to me. It just is, bro. That's crazy. Before acquiring Jimmy Butler, an NBA source told HoopsWire, Durant wasn't interested in getting traded by the Phoenix Suns. Durant recently talked about the fact that he didn't want to get traded. He said he didn't want to get. It wasn't so much that he didn't want to get traded to Golden State. He just didn't want to get traded at the deadline. Which, okay, I can buy that, but I've said repeatedly on the channel that I do wonder if maybe, him and Draymond haven't patched things up perfectly. And maybe, the way that the whole situation went for him the first time he was there, not getting the credit he deserved, blah, 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 blah. The way the media talked about that team, all that stuff. And the fact he left really soon, I think he left pretty soon in the first place because of all this stuff kind of getting to him. I do wonder if that would have been part of the reason why he didn't want to return. So I don't know. He didn't clarify on that. He didn't talk much about it. He just said he didn't want to get traded at the deadline. So we'll have to take that at face value. Meanwhile, LeBron has a no-trade clause in his contract and didn't want to leave the LA Lakers, who acquired Luka from the Mavericks. The Warriors pivoted to Butler, who requested a trade from the Miami Heat. Butler agreed on terms of a two-year, $112 million contract extension with the Golden State Warriors that runs through the 26-27 season. LeBron, Durant, and Steph, three of the best players in NBA history, were teammates on Team USA. The United States won the gold medal. Curry didn't talk to LeBron about playing together, but the sharpshooter did speak with Durant, according to NBA insider Ramona Shelburne and Brian Windhurst. Yeah, there was a report about that too, that he didn't really reach out to LeBron on the topic, but did talk to KD. I'd assume he probably assumed already that LeBron was going to say no again, because remember, going back to the offseason or the deadline prior, that was a thing then too. The year prior, that was a thing of LeBron trying to get LeBron on the Warriors. They've been trying to get LeBron for the last few years here from the Lakers. Or last couple of years, this year included, from the Lakers. Last year, they inquired, and that's not altogether uncommon. I'm sure all these teams inquire about all the other team stars all the time. You just don't really hear about it, but since it's LeBron and the Warriors, Steph, then you hear about it, right? But it got as far as them asking ownership, like, hey, Jeannie Bust, are you interested in this trade? And she says, nah, ask LeBron. What does he want to do? Because I think with LeBron, they're not going to, even if he didn't have the no trade clause, he has it because he can have it. That's why it's there. But even if he didn't have it, I don't think they would just randomly ship him out. They would approach him similarly to what they did with KD. Like, KD doesn't even have, I would say, the same pull with an organization in Phoenix, but he nixed that trade. Phoenix could have still shipped him out if they wanted to, right? If Golden State wanted him and Phoenix wanted to do that package, that deal, they could have done that. But he nixed it. He said he didn't want to go there. He doesn't have that power, right? So with LeBron, the same thing would happen. They wouldn't just randomly ship him out. But they didn't talk to him about it. But they did last year approach. He got asked. He said no, thank you. But they did talk to KD, which is interesting too. I think the KD thing actually potentially could have really happened. The KD trade stuff's kind of crazy because it came out of nowhere. We didn't know that KD was even being discussed. That just popped up. We had no clue they were even discussing trading KD until we got like to the last couple days before the deadline. And all of a sudden, there's reports about a bunch of teams talking. And I think the last team that talked to KD was, I think about KD was the Grizzlies or something like that. And now we're getting reports that KD is probably getting traded this offseason as a result. So maybe the Warriors revisit later and try to do Steph, Jimmy, KD or something like that. But KD may not last much longer in Phoenix regardless. LeBron, Durant, and Steph won the already read that part. It was a lot to digest. So Durant and Curry discussed the idea on Saturday, hours before the poker tournament. Curry wanted to get a read on how Durant would feel about returning to the team. He'd chosen to leave after the 2019 finals ended. Durant told him that it didn't feel right and that this wasn't the time to revisit their basketball partnership, according to multiple sources with knowledge on the conversation. That he was happy in Phoenix and wasn't looking to play elsewhere. I do wonder if Phoenix is able to retool, if that potentially could lead to KD being there. But I do think if you're Phoenix, if Beal is just playing hardball the whole time, which he's been given the right to do because of that contract, you may have to, and this is why they were taking calls on KD in the first place, you may have to just explore a KD trade as the only other way to improve your team. Like you don't have, I mean, the Booker deal is there, but I don't think they're trading Booker, right? And it's not because who's better, whatever, blah, blah, blah. That doesn't matter. It's Booker's their guy. He's still young, like things like that, or he's the youngest of the guys. So definitely pretty interesting. It was a soft no, one that discouraged the Warriors decision makers, but didn't fully deter them from pushing talks with the Suns. They hoped Durant's feelings about a reunion might change once he learned the extent to which Phoenix had engaged in trade conversations with multiple teams. Oh, that's kind of funny. That's really funny. So they were like, okay, he doesn't want to come here. But they were hoping that when it was publicized how much the Suns started to talk to teams about dealing him, that his idea would change. That's kind of what happened with Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler was saying he didn't want to go anywhere. Basically, he didn't want to go to the Warriors. There was a report on that. And then last minute, he's traded to the Warriors. And last minute, he gets the extension he wanted. So, like, they were hoping something similar would happen with KD. That's kind of crazy. Durant and Curry were teammates, blah, blah, blah. Some history there. So, what do you guys think about all that? We're going to move on from this in a second. I think the next piece we have is Wemby. No, the next we'll save Wemby for last. We got Mavs stuff next, but yeah, that's all really, really interesting. And it's not, like I said, the craziest stuff we didn't know anything about. We kind of heard about this stuff a little bit prior, but yeah. All right, let me see the chat here a little bit. We got a super. Already answered that one. Bucks are cooked now. Ooh. Detroit basketball. I was gonna do the whole thing, but then I realized my window's open, so I didn't commit to it. Wemby out for the season. Them eyes gave a whole different story. Frenchman down. The defense would be atrocious. Oh, with those three, I don't know if it would be as bad as you would think. It just depends on the effort level. I don't know if it'd be as bad as you think. I think KD is an underrated defender. And I know LeBron is also. Part of that's just because LeBron, like, he doesn't try a lot of times. But when he actually does try, he's pretty good still. I think it depends on the effort level. So I think if you put a couple high motor guys in the other two slots in the starting group, I think they can mask that a little bit. And you would obviously start flipping rotations around and staggering some of these guys. It'd be Curry on with LeBron, or Curry off with LeBron and KD on. And like you could that's where like you mask some of that stuff anyway. Do you think we could get some big trades this summer? Yeah, I do think so. With the new CBA, it showed at the deadline that these teams, and there's already a report on Ja, like them not really wanting to pay him that, what is it, 345 million, 350 million or whatever, Supermax, which is crazy. It's crazy, man. Teams are starting to really think about it. When you think about the fact that these guys, and again, in the old CBA, there wouldn't be a question or a thought about it, but they're starting to really be like, is this guy worth this? Like, that's where we are now. That was part of the motivation for the Luka trade. There's a lot of motivation, a lot of just ulterior motives in Luka trade, whatever. I've seen so many avenues on it. I'm not trying to like flip it one way or the other, but one of the things that was out there was that they were questioning whether they wanted to give him that deal. And to me, I would say, yes, I would do it. But you know, these teams, I'm not these teams. So Trae Young is my prediction to be traded this offseason. That's another name. As soon as the Hawks were doing all the moves they were doing at the deadline, a report instantly came out that Trae Young is not happy. Something like that. We did a video like almost instantly, like the next day, that Trae Young basically will wind up getting traded. Like, and we already just talked about KD. Like, I do think that this new CBA, all this stuff is really putting teams in a weird spot, and these stars are going to just start moving.